What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome once again to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. As always, it's your host Armando. I'm back in my office, so we got hopefully a good audio today, good video streaming. If you're watching on YouTube, I know last week with Caleb Helbig, audio was kind of like coming in and out. Had to do a lot of editing on that. Video quality wasn't the best if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, so I do apologize about that. I do apologize to my special guest that day, Caleb Helbig. I had family staying over, so my office became a guest room, so I had to improvise to continue recording. But back in my office, so everything should be fine and dandy. Got a new cable connection for my internet, so again, crossing my fingers, everything works out. Great episode as always. I got Jeff Malott from Kayak Bass Nation here on the podcast, and we're going to be talking about a great new tool for social media for kayak fishing, and it's the Kayak Fishing Network. I'm not going to say much about it. I'm going to let Jeff talk about it. So before we go into a quick commercial break, I want to thank our sponsors, Douglas Rod. Go to douglasoutdoors.com. Check out the full lineup, LRS, X-Matrix, and fly fishing rods. Mr. Jeff Malott, how you doing, my man?
Good, man. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Pleasure to have you, an honor to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for blessing it.
I'm glad to be back in. Appreciate you.
How's it been?
Some time. Oh, good. You know, just staying busy, finishing the year up, just like everybody else.
I see. Yeah.
Slide over here a little bit.
Season is winding down. Pretty much everything except the TLC, right? And maybe a couple of
TLC,
local. So we'll see.
A couple state championships. We got our border battle here in Arkansas, so a few different things going on.
Cool, man. Cool. Are you going to take part in that tournament?
The border battle?
Yeah.
No. I wish I was going to. It's us versus Oklahoma. We do it every year, but we got a funeral that day, so I get to go to a funeral.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
My condolences.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into it, man. We got Kayak Fishing Network. Tell us what that's all about, Jeff.
Well, man, it's been received pretty well. But yeah, I started, it's been about, I guess, a week and a half ago, I dropped the Kayak Fishing Network website, mobile website. It's basically a self-contained kayak fishing social media site. And I think it's got a blend of a Facebook feel to the timeline, along with some old school forum stuff. It's the community blog, a community calendar. It's got but KFN groups that are very similar to Facebook groups, so people can manage their clubs there. You've got a profile set up just like you would have a profile on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. So I tried to make a place that was self-contained, kayak fishing only social media content, away from all the problems that some of the other social media sites can bring with them. Of course, all of us have built our brands and built our clubs and built everything on Facebook and some of these other platforms because we've had to. There's never been another option. But I'm trying to create a tool that is specifically for kayak anglers.
That's pretty cool, man. And I've been trying it out, and I like it. I mean, it's obviously in its infant stage, but the potential for it. And right now, it's still very user-friendly, even at the beginning of it. I like you said, there's a lot of groups at the Hobie Owners Group. I was messaging you because I'm taking my wife on our anniversary trip to Arkansas, and we're gonna drive over there. And I was like, "Hey, man, where can I get more information? Where I'm staying, all that?" And you said, message the groups on KFN, Kayak Fishing Network, for the Arkansas group. The what is it? Natural State Anglers.
Yeah, that's my original group that I ever founded on Facebook. But there's one over there now too.
So sure enough, man, I got a message from them, got a few responses. So it's already paying dividends, at least for me. I think it's a great tool. I like the format of it. It doesn't have that generic Mark Zuckerberg format that it has.
Yeah.
Has a little bit more of a feel to it, different settings, which I guess we all have to get used to because, like you said, I mean, when you look at what Mark Zuckerberg has done, we're kind of like all slaves of it in the sense that, well, we don't have a choice. Either we stick with it or, we don't have a platform to create our social media and whatever. You mentioned it, I think, on a podcast about a couple of weeks ago that whatever happened if Mark Zuckerberg all decided to flip the switch and turn everything off, what happens? How many businesses would go into bankrupt? How many social media content creators would lose their livelihood just because we're really kind of slave to one company controlling everything? And it's really not the American way, the way we do things around here.
And Facebook is good. I mean, it took us to another level with kayak fishing and just fishing in general, because people, we used to have websites and forums and whatever. That's how we all communicated. But Facebook kind of got going really, really strong right at the same time that kayak fishing did about 10 years ago, and it's kind of taken us up. We've ridden that wave all the way to where we're at. But Facebook is also started with so many restrictions. I mean, you or I could be ready for a tournament this weekend and say the wrong word that's not even a bad word. You're not even arguing. You say somebody has a big head or ugly feet or something, and you're banned from Facebook, and you can't get the information you need from your local tournament group, for 2 weeks or 30 days or whatever it is. So we're all kind of slaves. They've got us by the stones, and we have to abide by their rules. And you also have to wade through all the muck that is Facebook. I mean, it's about to be midterm elections in 2022. So we're all going to, you may click on to Facebook to go look at your kayak fishing page, but 45 minutes later, you've been arguing with people about something to do with politics, looking at vaccine posts. Whereas all I want to do is go look at fishing. I use Facebook 99% of the time just to look at my fishing stuff, but I get sidetracked by the other stuff. And that's what they want. The whole idea behind Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're not there to help us as anglers or as human beings. They want to addict us and make us stare at that screen for as long as possible. So they're going to throw all these distractions in our face to do that. What I'm trying to create is there's no algorithms, there's no advertisements, there's just fishing. You're going to go use it for what you want to use it for and put it down. You're not going to be distracted by all these different things coming at you.
And that I think that's such an underrated part, what you're saying, because everybody that I've talked to says, well, why do I have to, and we'll get into that in a little bit, why is there a membership fee, which is 99 cents a month? I mean, come on, who doesn't have 99 cents a month? And I doubt very much you, KBN, Ryan Lambert are getting rich out of our expenses at 99 cents a month. Yeah. And if you want to buy the whole month, the whole year, I think it's $8, which is still ridiculous. I mean, I spent that I spent double that on a fast food, junk food place nowadays. And the fact that you're not tied in, there's not this companies eyeing you, looking to see what you're searching. And I mean, and I guess this is a deep rabbit hole that I'm reluctant to go through, but kind of briefly mention it. It is, I mean, how many times have I've had this with kind of like test with my wife and coworkers where we'll pick a random subject and talk about it with our phones just on our table. Nobody's searching anything. And you pick up the phone an hour later and something about like my situation was, I remember when I became aware of that, like woke, that term's overused, but we started talking about camping and bringing a backpack, and it wasn't like school season where they have specials on backpacks for school and stuff like that. We weren't searching off our phone. We were just talking about it. I pick up the phone an hour later and I have all these Facebook ads of buying backpacks. And I'm like, I've never had that before. Big Brother's always watching and it's interested in getting in your pockets to where this is something safe that you don't have to worry about. Jeff Malott is now poking around, looking at like, ooh, where is he? What's his password? What does he like? So I can sell him something. And I think people just get blinded with the distractions, that curtain that's in front of us that doesn't let us see what's going on behind the scenes that really affects our daily life.
Man, I would encourage everybody to go. There's a few documentaries out. There's one on Netflix right now called The Social Dilemma. You can go watch. And I'm sure, Netflix has their own agenda too, but there's a bunch of former Facebook and Twitter employees, Google employees on that documentary. And they straight up tell you on the documentary, and it's obvious, like you said, from the things you see happen, that their job is to hook your eyes to that screen. And they're using every piece of data they can get out of you to keep you looking at that screen. If they see you lagging and about to get off, they'll send you a notification from somebody. Whatever they got to do to keep your eyes on that screen and those advertisements. Because Facebook is, people say it's free. Well, nothing's free. If it's free, then you're the product. We're the products for them, and they're selling us to the advertisers. And that's the deal we've had for all this time. But as that gets worse and worse, and the propaganda with politics and everything else gets thrown on our face, and we just want to look at fish and stuff. That's why I wanted to do this. And I've been working on this for a while. It's just after that Facebook outage 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever that was, when the whole thing went down for a few days, I thought, you know what, it's time to go ahead and finish this up and push it out. I wanted to have the app done first before I pushed it out, but I said, no, this is the time to push it out. The tournaments are wrapping up, but it'll give people time to test it. So here we go.
And again, I like the direction where you're going with this, where it's just like, let's just focus on fishing. Before we move on to another subject, you mentioned like nothing is free in life. There is a 99-cent monthly, which again, 99 cents. Who doesn't have 99 cents a month? Why the 99 cents? What the money is used for, and why have it?
Well, number one, to run a website that like this with all the different functionality, you've got to have a really strong server. So that cost, obviously. We're working towards an app that's pretty expensive, as you can imagine, and I want it to be ad free. That's for as far as the actual expense part of it. I don't ever want ads on there, and the way we can do that is through a small membership fee. Now, the other reason, and maybe the main reason, is security. There's a paywall, so you're not going to have fake accounts, burner accounts, all these weird friend requests getting in your DMs, trying to do all this stuff, because not only is it password protected, but it's paywall protected. Now, it's a small paywall. It's 99 cents, but that's going to prevent all the garbage also that you see on Facebook and Instagram, getting into your DMs, and, you get all those posts. I was hacked. Don't click on this new profile. It should cut all that out.
Yeah, and how many, seems like daily, I get like a friend request from like a company or a social media content creators. Like, I thought I was friends with them. Then I noticed has a little hyphen or a little character at the end. And then 5 minutes later, get no message notification. That's not me. Don't click on it. Don't give him any information. And it happens on a daily basis. We've seen it with companies, content creators. There's always somebody trying to get into your information.
Yeah, and I've got some big plans for, if this thing can really grow, to keep, everything's going to go back into it to keep expanding the tool for the anglers. So not only will I expand server space, and we're going to get an app going, things like that, but also I'd like to integrate some learning opportunities in there for members, to where we're getting classes from the top anglers in sport. You get a Jay Wallen, a Russ Snyder, whoever it is, with specific classes that you can download from the site, just for members only. That some of that funding can help pull off as well. So a lot of long range plans with it if we can get it off the ground. And I think we're off to a strong start. We're up 170 something members already in the first week or so, trying it out, and it's been received pretty well overall. And we want to keep trying to make it better for everybody, because like I said, I want it to be a tool for the anglers to use. I'm an angler. I only use Facebook for a tool, but it's not the perfect tool. And this isn't perfect, far from it, but I want to try to make it a tool for anglers and specific for anglers as I can get it.
Going to be like a fans only app.
And the cool thing is,
a family friendly one.
Yeah, everybody gets their own profile. You go to Facebook, and then people make fishing groups and they make fishing pages. Well, on this thing, everybody's profile is a fishing page. You don't have to have 50 different things. It's just like everything's a fishing page. There's a community blog feature where everybody can write articles. They all go to the same article list. So you're not having to share them all over Facebook to get people to look at them. Everybody in the community gets to look at them. We got a community calendar to where you upload your events in there. It's going to put it on your iCalendar, your Google Calendar. There's going to be Google Maps integrated into that. And everybody can go to the community calendar and look at, sort it by local events, national events, whatever it is, in one place, instead of having to search Tourney X, Fishing Chaos, different Facebook groups. They're all going to be in one spot. So I think there's a lot of things that it can offer above and beyond what Facebook can.
Yeah, and again, can't say it enough, highlight it enough with the protection and not have to worry about it. Big Brother just getting into your personal business. Seems like
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg knows you more
Yeah.
than your mom does, kind of thing. With everything that goes on, everything is just gets stored. And this is what Jeff Malott, this is what Armando's interested in. And let's feed him all this because that's what's gonna get him to open up his wallet and take out the credit card.
That's
So
right.
the more I hear about it and the more you and I talked about it, the more I'm like, yeah, man, I'm willing to spend 99 cents a month. It actually may save me money if I can focus on this. Now, for content creators that are saying, hey, you know what? I need an audience. I need people to subscribe to my channel. I need people to have eyes on my content, on the content that I'm creating. What benefits can they derive out of it? Because obviously, at the moment, they're not gonna have that many people looking at what they're doing. But what's the benefit of them long term joining into something like this app?
Well,
or
long
website?
term, they're not trying to share a video or a picture to 500 kayak anglers on their friends list, but 1,500 people they knew from junior high or their church or whatever that don't really give a crap about that picture or that video. You know what I mean? It's going to be 100% kayak fishing focused as it grows. I mean, it's all going to be a snowball. As we get more people over there, there's going to be more content. There's going to be more engagement. I mean, you've already seen that in the last week, I bet. You being over there, you've seen more posts, more replies, more engagement on there. And then on your actual profile, I mean, you can link all the other stuff. I mean, this can be in addition to what you're already doing. I mean, it'd be great to be a replacement at some point, but it can be in addition to, because your KFN profile offers you the opportunity to link all your other social medias straight on your profile. So people can go to your profile and say, oh, I can click right here and get to their Facebook, their YouTube, their Instagram, their Twitter, all from one place. That's hard to do on the other services as well. You have to go to those specific places. And on that, we have our own video and photo upload service. You can upload videos and photos over here as well. The community blog feature, you can embed YouTube videos there. You can embed YouTube lives on the timelines. And the community blog, let's say you write a 5-paragraph blog about your last tournament, embed a YouTube video. You can share that anywhere. You can share it on Twitter, Facebook. You have to be a member to view that.
Yeah, so and I think that's
creators.
It is. And one of the things that I like, I see a lot of companies and a lot of fishing groups, kayak fishing groups get involved with it. When we talk about companies, they might be saying, okay, well, if I have a Jeff Malott who I sponsor, what's the benefit of going into KFN? Are companies, for companies that might be listening, let's say big, small companies, bait companies that say, hey, you know what? Why would I pay 99 cents when I can advertise on Facebook or Instagram for free? What's the benefit?
Well, they'll never be able to advertise here. That's the point. They'll never be able to advertise here. I don't want any advertisers on here. I don't want that in people's face. I want it just to be about kayak anglers and kayak fishing. No sponsored ads will ever be on this website.
But maybe I worded that question wrong. I apologize. But maybe can a company say, hey, you know what? I want to make my own profile on KFN.
Yeah, I suppose they could do that for sure. And it's just a matter of numbers. They don't care what platform it is if the numbers are there. Yeah. And you can see on KFN, just like all the other social media sites, you can say how many followers you have, how many members there are, things like that.
So let's say somebody like Seaman or can just open up a profile and then they can post their videos, their pictures, just like they do on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, I'd love. Can I share my screen with you? I can show you something.
Heck yeah, of course, man. Sure.
Let's see what we can do here.
That's what we're all about. Why is my cap crooked? What's going on here?
Well, maybe it won't let me. I don't
know. I see it there. I'm going to add it to the stream here.
There we go. All right. So there you go.
Look at that handsome dude.
Yeah, look at that handsome guy. So that's my profile. That's a profile page right there. And you can see you've got a cover photo like you normally would have, profile photo like you normally would have. I've got a layout to where you see all your followers there, right on your profile, all your connections, which is basically a friend right on your profile. And then even who's online right now and the groups that are going on in the KFN. There's over 20 groups now, and you can actually sort them by the newest groups that are active, like people are posting in them right now, and or the most popular that has the most members. So
there you go.
Anyone that's
KBN.
Yeah, man. Anyone that signs up has the ability to create a group or create a forum on their own. They don't have to do have admin permission or whatever. Everyone that joins, just like Facebook, they have the opportunity to create their own groups. And then on your actual profile, it doesn't only have your name, but you create a nickname. So it's a handle just like you would have on Instagram or Twitter. It doesn't have to be your name. It can be like mine says J Malott Fishing, or it can be Lunch Money or whatever it is. You can make that your handle so people can tag you and post just like they would on other social media. You can have links to your personal website. I've got it set up to where you can include links to your Tourney X profile, links to your Fishing Chaos profile, links to all your sponsors, so you can directly click on your sponsor links, not just have their name on there. Stuff for your kayak brand. There's some other stuff on there as well. And then your personal timeline pops up there, and that's where you see all your connections and follows, all the activity that's going on. And from there, you can post a picture, video, upload a document there, or just type something up. And something different from the KFN site compared to, let's say, Facebook, because that's what it kind of looks like here, is when you go to type something, you can actually change the text and format it to a bullet list, bold, quote it, make a numbered list, whatever you want to do. You can actually format your text almost like it was a Microsoft Word or something, to really make your post stand out. Embed links there, whatever you want to do. That's where you would do all that stuff.
Does it restrict it to a certain number of characters, or could you write a novel saying the state of kayak fishing?
You can write a novel, but one of the cool things is from your profile, and if let's say you just got done with a tournament, and you know how you get those posts that are 10 paragraphs long about your tournament. You can click on your profile. There's a blog option right there. If you click that, you're going to see any post you've already made, and then you'll have the option for new. You can actually write your own big blog article with featured images, put photos in the article, and make it just like you were, writing a 2-page magazine article if you want, and post it up. And when you do that, I'll go back to the homepage. See up here on the top left, KFN articles. Somebody wrote one about the state championship. Somebody wrote one about the All-American. It also comes up on the top to KFN articles. Everybody gets that. So here's a deal about the All-American. This guy wrote this big write-up about his tournament with pictures included. Nice. Cool stuff. That's an option for everybody in the community to do that, rather than have to try to fit it all in a little, thumb it out in a little post. You get this article format, and it gets archived with all the articles instead of just pushed down the list and nobody ever sees it again.
That's pretty interesting. I like one of the things that I like about that, and that's where I was kind of going with my original question about companies, is the benefit for a tournament angler, content creator that gets sponsored by a company. He can take this to the company and I say, hey, you know what? I got you a link right here. Where I'm sure a company will, as the KFN, Kayak Fishing Network grows, companies can see the value on you having your profile there with the link to the company, to their website. So that's another great tool that you can eventually take to a company. Says, hey, I have this many followers on KFN, and your website is going to be on my profile.
Be just like any other social media, except with some more kayak fishing specific features. The groups thing. Let me show you some of the features of the groups. I get all fired up about this. We'll go into one of them here.
Let's do it.
Run. So this is a group I formed for the Natural State Kayak Anglers, that one I sent you to. Yep. When you go to the groups, it looks kind of like Facebook groups. You get a list of members, things like that you can see. And you can even put them in a list view instead of a grid and go down, see who you follow, who you don't, things like that. You get a group feed. One of the coolest things about the group is because a lot of people just go to social media, let's say the week of a tournament, to check on what they need for the tournament, right? Because that's where everything happens, is on these Facebook groups. Well, right here you see change email status. I'm going to click on that. You can choose no email, weekly digest, daily digest, nude post, or all email. So basically you can say, hey, every Thursday I want to get an email of everything that's happened in this group only. so that I know I don't have to miss anything. And also, I don't have to go back and ever check. I don't even have to go over here and log in and check it. I'll get an email telling me what happened on the group. So if you're a guy that doesn't like to get on social media all the time, you'll never miss a post about a tournament or a schedule drop or whatever. It'll come to you.
And that shows, again, the commitment for what you're doing, putting people first, because that's obviously something no company is going to do. No company that's building a social media network is going to do, because they want you to go to the website.
Yeah.
They want you to do the clicks. They want the algorithms, where you are thinking more of like, hey, you know what? If you don't want to come here, that's fine. Just build your profile. You can get the updates by email. It makes it easier for the user, instead of you kind of like putting the user to a slave of
you have to
of its own
check.
devices. Yeah.
And then, like, this is the event calendar. There's some similar stuff here. There's a meetup that's on here for the guys down in Texas for the Paddlers Playbook. It's got all the information for the event on the calendar and a Google map, links to everything. But you'll notice right here, it's got a Google Calendar link and an iCalendar. So if you're on your phone, you can just hit that. It'll send it to your calendar, and you're done. You don't ever have to come back here and look. So it's going to update these details to your calendar and always remind you when that event's coming up.
And that's a great tool for tournament anglers, because if you have going to have your national trails, the Hobie BOS, the KBF, the Bass Nation Kayak Series, and then you're going to have your local trails. Like over here in Texas, we have a bunch of them: Southeast, TKC, Northeast, South, North Central. So you can upload all the tournaments, all the calendars if they're on Kayak Fishing Network. You can upload it to yours and then say, hey, you know what? Now I have all the schedule. I don't have to go, okay, let me go into the Southeast Texas Kayak Fishing League to see what's their tournament, because I can't remember. And then, or upload it all to my calendar. It's already going to be there in your calendar, and you can see which ones overlap, and you can decide which ones you want to go and not waste time trying.
And the cool thing about our calendar is you can go down here and filter it. Say, I only want to see national tournaments. And it'll only throw the national tournaments up on the list instead of everything. Or I only want to see local tournaments. There's none scheduled in here right now, but you could, and there's a search bar. So if you just wanted to see Southeast Texas, you type that in, it goes to only their tournaments. So a lot of options there for you, or if you just want to see them all. But I'm trying to make this, like I said, a tool for everybody to use. We've even got a KFN marketplace set up where you can list your business, put your guide service, list stuff for sale. That's self-contained here within the website as well.
Nice. That's a very good tool for those of us that for those that are going to be traveling nationwide for tournaments. They can see, oh, they got a fishing guide over there. Might as well, do a little touristing while I'm over there fishing for a certain tournament.
Yeah, man. And
or even if you're going on vacation.
Yeah. For the old school folks, we've got forums linked. If you want to go interact in a forum. We've got all these forums, too, that users have created. They're not created by us. The users create these. So pick your poison, man. There's ways to connect and network and hook up with the other kayak anglers on here, and that's what we want it to be. So
that's awesome, man. That is awesome, and I think it's going to be a great tool with a lot of upside and very few downside to it.
Oh, I don't even know if I showed you this. Sorry. Just
I was looking at that today. I'm like, wait a minute. We have those links?
Yeah, so there's icons on here, and there's about 15 different choices, but these are the 4 I chose. So you can link all your other social media right here on your KFN profile. So if I want to go to my YouTube channel, boom, I'm to my YouTube channel right there. Everybody that's watching this, go subscribe. But or to your Instagram, Facebook, whatever, it's right there.
Nice, very nice. What's inspired? I know you touched on it a little bit, but what's the main motivation for you to do this? I know you're not making much money with just 99 cents a month.
No, I'm in the hole right now.
With this. So, what's the ultimate motivation for you to do this? Why do this? Why do something nobody has done? Because it's too expensive and there's little to gain out of it.
Well, number one, I was on the front end of creating Facebook groups and all that back when that was a thing. I just like to try things and build things and, see what we can do. And with the technology that's available out there with, different web services and platforms and the way social media has become politicized, why do we have to deal with that for kayak fishing? It doesn't make any sense. So somebody had to do it. So why not me? Tried to make it as cheap as humanly possible, which is I think 99 cents a month or $8 a year is nothing. We pay that for Tourney X fees for one tournament, and it'll give us all a place to connect and just talk kayak fishing all the time. That's the motto on the cover page. All kayak fishing all the time.
One of the things that I wanted to touch on, because I've obviously talked to a few people about this and kind of tried to promote it, because I personally like it. I think it's a great tool for all the reasons that we already talked about. And I'm going to ask you a question regarding this because I think it needs to be addressed. There's the reservation of people saying, well, it's going to be, I heard the term, it's going to be the KBN group page on Facebook on steroids, where it's going to be bashing, people spilling their venom, it's going to be, putting people down. What do you say to that, to those that are put off by some of the, admittedly some of the stuff that goes on the KBN group page, which some of us find entertaining, but some of the people, and I respect their opinion, don't, kind of might get offended or might just think it's not healthy for the kayak fishing community. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, this is not affiliated with KBN in any way, and this is a solo venture. This isn't me and a bunch of the people from KBN. I did this on my own. So, and number two, this is a platform much like Facebook. There's a Kayak Bash Nation group on here that you can join if you want to. But you're only friends with who you want to be friends with. You only follow who you want to follow, and you're only members of groups you want to be in, and that's all you see. So you control what you see, just like you do on other, and you can even block people or, whatever you want to do as a user of the platform. You have the opportunity to only see what you want to see. It's not going to be a free for all like that. It's all kayak fishing all the time, and all the kayak fishing you want to see all the time. It's not going to be a website that is just KBN. That'd be ridiculous. I mean, there's not even a purpose for that. This is a tool for you as an angler or you as a tournament director to use how you want to use. So if you create a group over here, this group you could have 20,000 members in a group right here that is your group that you control. That has nothing to do with any outside influence.
And that's a good point, because I noticed one of the things that you mentioned when doing the promo for this, there's not going to be any censorship. And, I understand talking to you what that means, and I understood it from the beginning. But for those that are going to say, well, there's not going to be censorship, people are just going to say whatever they want, they can insult you, whatever, hassle you. And that's not, when you say it's not going to be censorship, that's not what you're meaning by that. It means people are not going to be censorship because they express, like what we talk about Facebook. Like anybody can just say, well, I'm offended by this. And no matter how insignificant that comment is, all of a sudden you're on Facebook jail. The reality of the thing is everybody's their own person. People are going to react differently to different subjects. It's still up to the person to decide whether you want to join this group or not. Talking about the specific groups, you can still go to KFN, Kayak Fishing Network, join Kayak Fishing Network, and join the groups that you want to join. If you don't like KBN group page, and I respect that, then just because you're joining KFN doesn't mean you're going to get filled with kayak or KBN group page content. No. It is if you go join KBN group page, but it's not that one thing is not related to the other. You can still enjoy KFN, Kayak Fishing Network, and not for other reasons. There's the hobby owners group, which is I think it's a great tool when you have a hobby, you're having problem with the steering or whatever it is. I've seen it on other social media content creators. Not social media content creators, on other social media groups where you ask the question, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Am I doing this wrong? Am I doing this right? How should I get it fixed? Those groups are still there, available for you.
Yeah, this is a place that you control. I mean, you come set your profile up. You join groups, you don't join groups, you create groups, you don't create groups. But even within the groups, like KBN that's created on here is a private group. You won't see anything from it unless you're a member of it. When you create a group, you have the option to set it as public, private, or even hidden, where nobody sees the group except people you invite. So that's up to the user, how they want to use it.
A great tool. I think it's awesome, man. What do you expect? What is your, what you expected to go in the first show? What you like to be the growth of this? Let's say short term and long term. What do you like to accomplish with this?
Man, I think that to break the ice, we just need a few clubs to try to come over and say, hey, we want to use this as our tool to manage the tournaments this year or whatever. And it can be saltwater or freshwater. This isn't kayak bass fishing. It's Kayak Fishing Network. It's any kind of kayak fishing. So saltwater, freshwater, whatever. If you're frustrated with some of the usability of Facebook and some of the stuff you have to deal with to use Facebook, because I've had guys message me or post even saying, why would I do this? Facebook's free. And I've already told you my opinion on that, which I don't think it is free. You're paying the price for that, whether it's financial or not. But that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody. But I felt like there was a lot of people out there like me that were tired of being a slave to Facebook and wanted a different option. So I'm trying to give it to them. As far as growth, I think it's going to be, like you said, you're telling people about it. I've told some people about it, but it's going to be kind of a grassroots word of mouth thing. As opposed to some blitz ad campaign, because I'm not offering anything other than a tool and a place for people to talk, because we're not running tournaments. We're not doing anything like that. I'm just trying to create a separate community outside the bubble of Facebook for everybody.
If this grows in a way that makes financial sense to sell it to a corporation, would you do that?
No, I mean, you never say never to anything like that, but no, I've got some ideas to really, this is long range thinking, but let's say we had 5,000 or 10,000 members on KFN. I mean, that's not outlandish. I mean, we got 15,000 on KBN almost on Facebook. Yeah. Well, then that's a lot of 99 cents coming in, right? But we could start hosting some big no entry fee tournaments with payouts. You don't even have to pay an entry fee. You just show up and there's big payouts for the KFN members. Members only tournaments, kind of like owners tournaments on the bass boat side. So I've got a lot of long range things that we can throw money back in above and beyond paying for server space and app maintenance and all that kind of stuff. So
would this be, so this would be considered like a, kind of simplifying things. I don't know what all the laws that govern the description of each one, but would this be kind of like a non-profit organization?
No, I wouldn't say that. It's just a small business, man. Just a guy with an idea trying to make it happen. So where it goes, I don't know.
Where would you hope that it goes?
I just hope it's successful, man. Like I said, I like to build things and see if they'll work. Just like we built the podcast, just like we built some tournament groups here in Arkansas, just like done some other things on some different social media platforms. So I just like to build and see if it works, and hopefully this one does too. I'm not afraid to stick my neck out there and try.
No, man, I think it's awesome. I think it's great, and I think it's an opportunity that when we look at it from a standpoint of, there's the kayak fishing is for everyone to enjoy, right? Some of us that are doing the podcast and some other people doing the teaching, kind of like Fluke Master, some other people that are doing tournament director, like the AJ McWhorter at Hobie BOS. We all want this thing to grow. So we're invested in a way, I think, more than just a hobby or just kind of like, weekend getaway kind of thing. We're invested in the growth of it. A lot of people, the majority of people just go into kayak fishing because they want kayak fishing. They don't really think about what's best for the growth of the community, what's best for the tournament, the community. Now, for us that are part of this group, whether we're a big influence like yourself, whether we have a small influence like myself, we really are invested in making this grow. Not for ourselves, but for the growth of the sport. If the sport grows, if the community grows, then I think there's a lot of positive things that are going to come out of this. And mainly it's going to be more feasible to go kayak fishing. Maybe the tournament anglers don't have to spend as much to be part of the tournament. They can make a living out of it. Maybe content creators can make more a living out of just doing kayak fishing tournament or kayak fishing content instead of having to diverse and just kayak fishing be a small part of what they're doing. So, I mean, I like it. I think it is worth investing the 99 cents a month to see where it grows, and not just invest those 99 cents. If you're there, might as well, be part of it. Post videos, interact with whatever group you want to interact, and don't feel obligated to interact with groups that you don't want to interact with.
That's it. And I haven't seen one blip of a problem on there yet. I mean, there's almost 200 people on there. Even Jim Clark joined, and there's no problems on there that I've seen. And when I say it's uncensored, I mean uncensored from the weird political and word algorithms that Facebook has. There's terms of service. We're not going to let trash just fly on there, even on the just regular profiles. We're not going to put up with pornography and all that kind of nonsense that may try to filter in, which I don't think it will, being a membership paywall site. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think right now it's a good time to start exploring for this, because we've seen on the news that heat that's coming out on this Mark Zuckerberg and I'm not rooting for anybody to for failure, but I also see this movement that started, that people saying, you know what, we don't want to be slaves to this, because it really is, whether we like to admit it or not. If we're involved in social media, we're really slaves to our own devices. You know, how many times I tell my wife, let's get ready, we're going to go out. I go in to check something out on my social media, and I go down that rabbit hole, and it's 15 minutes later, still haven't gotten dressed or done whatever I needed to do.
I don't know
before heading out.
I'm not arrogant enough to think this can replace all those fancy high-dollar apps and everything else, but it can give people an escape and something else. If they want to get away from that. Because there's a lot of people that won't even use Facebook. They got people emailing them and calling them to tell them about tournaments because they just don't want to get in that. And
who can blame them?
But if you do use it, I mean, I use a lot of social media. I got TikTok, YouTube. I got all the stuff that everybody else has. This can be an addition to and more of a profile and tournament or angler event management tool away from all of that, rather than, use your Facebook and your YouTube and your Instagram to post content and help with the sponsors and all that stuff. But when it's time to manage your club or talk to your club or find events, you can come here and not have to wade through all of that. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, perfect, man. I think it's awesome. Big congrats on what you're doing, Jeff, because I think it makes a difference in our community, and I think we can all kind of support this. I think it's healthy for the kayak fishing community.
Yeah, and like I said, it's if I can break even doing it for a while and just make sure that the people are having a good experience when they get on the website, and like I said, I want to get an app out sooner rather than later, then I'll be happy with it, man. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes.
Have you had I think that's what's going to take it to the next level. Once the app comes out, I think you're going to see a massive growth. And again, I'm not a tech savvy on any of this or a genius, but I just get the feeling, once the app comes out, it makes it a lot more accessible and more easier. When do you expect the app to come out?
I think I can get it early 22, maybe January, February.
Nice. I think. Oh, so it's right around the corner. It's not something we have to wait a long time for this.
Yeah, we'll see. Depends how my Shiba coin does.
What else we should know about KFN?
Man, I don't know. That, like I said, I'm trying to keep finding and adding new features to it and refining the ones that are already on there. Everybody can join for free right off the front end. There's 30-day trial for everybody when you sign up, so you can check it out, and if you don't like it, you can bail right out of there. But I invite everybody to go check it out and click around, see what you like, what you don't like. Send me a message. I mean, there's so few people on there right now. There's, like I said, less than 200. It's easy to tag somebody or find them and send me a message and say, hey, you think you could change this or change that? I've already made a few tweaks just based on some messages I've got from other anglers. Dwayne Beatty had a great idea that I could change a few things on there, and I went ahead and did that. So anybody that has ideas of how to improve it, I'm willing to take all ideas under consideration. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride, man. And of course, we're still doing our thing. We're still doing our thing on Facebook and YouTube with our podcast and everything else. So
yeah, man, congratulations to all that you're doing. I think what you and Ryan Lambert are doing is moving things in the right direction as far as the growth of the sport. You guys, I think, are kind of at the forefront of when it comes to the social media side of things. Leading the charge to grow the sport and take it to another level. And it's been, I mean, I've truly enjoyed to see what kayak fishing has just grown in the last 3 years to what it can keep growing in the next 3 years. And it's very exciting times right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, Ryan and I, we try to have a good time and talk to everybody and interview everybody and give all these anglers exposure that they need, by putting them on the show and talking about them on our page. And I know KBN catches a lot of hell as a group page for going off on some tangents and getting kind of ugly sometimes, but we just try to provide a platform there where anybody can talk about anything. There's a great thread you're on today talking about Pro Series and what that might look like someday. And
I enjoy that one.
There's no hate on there. There's just a bunch of good talk to me, So sometimes they go off the deep end on different things too, and to me some of that's funny, but other people get offended by it. But I appreciate everybody over there that's willing to make conversations happen there too. So yeah, man, we're just trying to push this thing forward and have a good time doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, they see something on the KBN group page. Oh, Jeff, Ryan. I'm like, you notice that they're not the ones that said it. Like,
oh, and I'm not. I'll take the. We provide the platform, dude. I'll take the bullet.
They're not the ones that said it. Yeah. One of the things that I want to touch you about, because I was talking to Brian Chiller about this. This kind of like article that came out, more like a novel, saying the state of kayak fishing. It was more like, I hate KBN, I hate Ryan Lambert, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm sure a talented writer, but I think a lot of it was misdirected. And one of the things that I touched on is just like, it mentioned like, oh, Ryan Lambert is hating on Cushion's rod. And I'm like, that's funny. I haven't heard every single podcast but KBN, but I haven't heard Ryan Lambert diss on casting rods. I'll be surprised. So I went into the group page and kind of started looking over, did my own research, because I want to form my opinion on what I see, not just what other people say. And then I look at the post, and Ryan Lambert says, in my opinion, was said, okay, if this is something really, if this is not a gimmick, show me why it's not a gimmick. And everybody just went like, oh, here we go. He's dishing. I'm like, did you read the thread? Because the thread, the post said, if it's not a gimmick, show me why it's not a gimmick. It doesn't say, oh, it's a gimmick. It says, show me why. Yeah,
because there's been a bunch of gimmicks.
Yes, and then some of the guys that commented on it, I can't remember the names, that actually worked on the design of the rods, commented and tagged Ryan.
Corey and Casey.
Corey and Casey. Thank you. And they say this is why it's not a gimmick. Yeah. And Ryan
responded back professionally.
Ryan responded, says, it says in that it was very smart or intellectual response. Thank you. I'm going to look into that. So to me, it's like, why do you're not reading it? You just, and I get kind of upset at this because people need to start listening and reading before they start spewing articles saying, oh, this and that. There's a difference between saying your opinion, like and that was another one. And again, I know it on the tangent here, and I've kind of been people kind of like message me about my opinion on what Bass Nation Kayak Series has done. And I'm like, just because I think they can do better, it doesn't mean I'm bashing them. It doesn't mean that I'm calling for a boycott on them. Doesn't mean that I'm insulting or judging Dwayne Wiley's character, which is exactly the opposite of what I'm doing. I actually think Dwayne Wiley did a great job, and he deserves credit for what he's doing. But I get tired of people just think just because I'm expressing something that should be better, doesn't mean that I'm putting them down. There's a difference between attacking a character, attacking a company just because you want to be hateful. And then there's another thing to say, hey, you know what? This could be done better. And this should be done better.
People these days cannot handle somebody either questioning something or sometimes even telling the truth if it hurts them or hurts their feelings or whatever. We provide a platform where you can air your opinion. Sometimes the opinion's kind of nonsense, but and for this instance, we'll use the rod thing again. And I read that article that you're talking about. I've heard it talked about on the One Objective podcast. I heard Hoover say something about it, and it's like some obscure blog with like 40 followers. I don't know how it got all this press. I guess because somebody threw it over on KBN, but people like that say, I've rubbed elbows with the industry insiders, and they're not getting involved with kayak fishing because of the negativity and because of things that happen on this page. That is the biggest bunch of nonsense I've ever heard of. That is bull. I don't want to cuss on your podcast, but
but it's true.
Yeah, it's just not true. I mean, Ryan Lambert and myself run a large podcast now. We've got major companies sending us emails every week wanting to partner with us. We've partnered with a few, but we've not partnered with a few as well. Why would they do that if we were poison to the sport? You know what I mean? They wouldn't. They like what we bring to the table. And for that guy and the cash and rods thing, that didn't even make sense because, like I said, questioning a rod that has been, other rod companies have tried to sell us a gimmick before. What's wrong with questioning something? It can't always be, I'm okay, you're okay, we're patting everybody on the back and having a big hug fest. We need to question a product. We need to question a series. We need to question a tournament director. We need to question us. If you want to criticize us, whatever, that needs to be allowed to happen without somebody getting all ruffled and saying that, it's negativity and it's pulling the sport down. No, it's not. We support everybody. Everybody wants to see success for our fellow anglers and our friends. But if there's something wrong, we want to talk about it in the public square. We don't want to brush it under the rug. So I think that's the rub, and that's where people get upset with the page.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. And I know, we wanted to talk about KFN, Kayak Fishing Network first, but it's something that I think it's worth mentioning. And I mentioned it on the intro on my last podcast. I love what Christine Fisher posted, about, what Guillermo's done. Obviously, she's, she and Guillermo in a close relationship, but what she's saying about Guillermo is true. I've met him on the water. He's that type of guy. He's just a nice guy and does things out of selfless acts, helping other people on the water, out of the water. Yeah. That's just the kind of person he is.
100%.
Yes. Highlighting those things is important, because I think a lot of stuff is like, oh, everybody wants to hear about this brush up on the ramp, which admittedly happens every once in a while, but then we kind of like forget about all the great stuff and all the camaraderie that happens on the water and in the boat ramp, just because this is more exciting to talk about. And there needs to be a balance. I get it. It's interesting, kind of like TMZ kind of thing was like, oh, what happened? Who did he say? What did he say back? Did anybody throw down? Yeah, but at the same time, that is just such a small part of what happens on the water. The majority of the things that we enjoy about kayak fishing is that same camaraderie that happens on the water. You just people helping each other out.
Yeah.
And just
the thing is,
looking out after each other.
It's just like the real news. If it bleeds, it leads. So when something bad happens, people want to hear about it. But the thing is, if only people that talked about things that were wrong with a product or a series or a cheater, whatever it is, if the only time they got talked about was in private texts and private DMs and private emails, and the overall community doesn't know about it, well, nothing ever gets fixed because nobody knows. There's no pressure to fix anything like that. So it needs to be talked out in the open. And that's what we do. We talk about it in the open. We bring up, we pick the scab, I guess you'd say, talk about it out in the open.
And that's what it is for. That's the whole point of having a podcast. We emphasize the good times and the positivity, but we also wanted to see it grow. And when there's something wrong, we want to address it in a way that we're not, attacking people and not having people have their hurt feelings just because we're expressing an opinion on what something could be better. And again, goes back to what we talked about, Kayak Bass Nation. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, well, kayak fishermen, expect so much. It's like, no, we expect what Hobie BOS has done, which is put anglers first. Yeah. One of the worst threads that has ever happened on KBN. One of the worst ones that got so ugly. One of the worst ones ever was about the Hobie series and the whole bent board thing. Yeah. So there's no favorites. If you do something wrong and it's going to be aired out, it's going to be aired out. Yeah. And we're not picking and choosing what the topics are. The people are. You said it yourself. Ryan and I post some and try to keep things going, but the people steer the ship. You know what I mean? They make the posts and make the comments, and we just see where it goes. So that's very interesting. And for those that think, well, I've heard the argument. It's like, well, they're allowing this kind of this spew over. It's like, I don't think there's a line, because I've seen posts that have been taken down. I've read posts. I'm not gonna say which one, but there was one in particular that was, I was like, yeah, this is really attacking the person here. Which
any
no
topic,
right. And I see 5 minutes later you took it down, or whoever would the administrators took it down. So yes, there is some accountability if you post something on KBN group page.
Yeah, man. Any topic in the kayak fishing world is okay.
Yeah.
Any topic. If it hurts someone's feelings, that's fine. But any topic related to kayak bass fishing tournaments or series or anglers or products, rock and roll. But stuff that crosses the line and you're talking about personally attacking people or talking about someone's family or just being ugly for the sake of it, well, no, we're not doing that, and we get rid of that stuff. But if it's a sore subject, if we're talking about how some guy hates the BOS and they want to go off on that tangent, well, then go for it and see what happens. Or KBF or BASS, whatever it is. If you got a subject that you think needs to be aired out, I think it self-polices, because if it's a bad subject that nobody wants to talk about, nobody comments and it just disappears. But if it's something that people want to talk about, well, 200 comments later, you know the overall opinion of the people. So,
yeah, and that's why I encourage everybody. If before you go out and start writing or spewing anything, just read up on it or listen. Yeah. Get informed. I don't think it's fair for anybody to be attacked or put in a position where they have to explain something that they never did or say.
I've dropped some bombs without doing the research before myself, so it happens to all of us.
It happens to all of us. Yeah.
So just you can have a informed opinion pretty quick if you'll just do a little bit of reading and research before you hit that send button.
And again, there's sometimes stuff that it's not even worth talking about.
No. you know, it's funny what fires some people up and other people don't even care. You know what I mean?
I had somebody on the Paddle and Fin social media page unfollow us because apparently Bass Kayak and Beers is promoting people to drink beers while out fishing. And
don't let them see this then. Jeez.
I had to change the whole intro for the episode coming next week, kind of to explain. And that's the case. Somebody see the title of my podcast, Bass Kayak and Beers, and they just went on a tangent on social media. How dare you, like, why would you promote drinking while out fishing? I'm unfollowing you. I'm like, did you listen to the podcast? At any point did I say, what's your favorite beer when you're out drinking in the water? No. So I had to change the intro on my last podcast just because of it. And it's people that just see something, they're like, oh, yeah, automatically jump to conclusions. But anyways, it's a rabbit hole we can go down some other time.
Crazy. Great conversation, man. I appreciate you giving me the time to promote my new project and talk a little bit about it, man.
No, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, what you and Ryan are doing, and to be fair, I don't always agree with everything that may be said on the podcast, KBN, or on the group page. But mainly, I respect what you guys are doing, growing the sport, doing what was done for the family. Yeah, and I know that there's there's been rift with KBF, but you still promote KBF. You still promote the anglers that are taking part of it. You still promote the national championship. You talk about it, and I think what you are doing goes a long ways into helping this community grow. And I think you're at the forefront of it, and I think you deserve more credit, or at least less criticism than what you guys are getting right now. And I encourage anybody, get informed. Don't just go. I've been a victim of that. When I got into this, one of the things that people started telling me, oh, KBN, keep away from that. And I got caught up in that. When I started listening to the podcast and looking at the group page, I was like, you know what? I should make my own opinion what KBN is and what Jeff Malott is and what Warren Lambert is, instead of just going by what other people say. And that goes both ways. Somebody says, oh, he's a wonderful guy, you should trust him with your life. Get to know him first before you trust him with your life. So it goes both ways.
KBN is just a big locker room, dude. We just have a good time over there. And really, I'd say 95% of the stuff that goes on, to somebody that's brand new, they may think it's ugly talk. We're laughing our butt off. It's just people jabbing at each other, having fun with it. They're not really being hateful. You know what I mean? That really doesn't happen very much.
Definitely. Well, Jeff, I always take the tradition of letting my special guests kind of talk about their sponsors or thank anybody you want to thank. In this case, when we're talking about Kayak Fishing Network, anybody in particular you want to thank, any companies? If you want to take a few minutes to go ahead.
Yeah, man. I always thank the supporters of our podcast. So Western Sun Vodka, dugoutfishing.com, and Revo Sunglasses support the podcast. We appreciate them. And me personally, I work with Old Town, and I've been working with them for about 5 years now, and couldn't be more thankful for all the support they give me for my tournament fishing lifestyle that I lead, basically springtime through the winter. So Old Town, appreciate them. And then, of course, shout out to my wife for putting up with all the kayak fishing stuff that I talk about and deal with and do.
It's not easy for them, I'm sure. No, it's not easy for my wife. And I don't do half as much as what you guys do. Real quickly, before I let you go, what's your plans for tournament fishing? I know this year you wanted to get into the TOC. You kind of fell short of it. I'm sure it was disappointing for you, but next year, what are you planning?
That close. So I'm going to take another swing at the TOC, of course, and I'm waiting for this bass schedule to come out.
Maybe
rumor
February,
has it they're gonna have they're gonna have an AOY system this year and things like that. Rumor has it. So if that's the case, then I'm anxious to see what they put out. So it'll probably be a combination of those two plus some local stuff.
Nice, man. Well, Jeff, again, congratulations on everything that you're doing. I thank you and your family for taking time away from your family on a weekday to join me and talk about KFN. Where can people follow, get more information on KFN?
Man, there's the YouTube channel with some kind of instructional videos about how the page works. So you can find the Kayak Fishing Network on YouTube. There's a Facebook page, ironically, where you can go there and see some of the videos. Or you can just go join the page for free. There's a free trial. You can click on join now, and it'll give you 30 days to check it out. And click around and let me know what you think. Just kayakfishingnetwork.com.
And the good thing about it is if you don't like something or if you think something better, message Jeff. Jeff is not half as popular as Mark Zuckerberg. He actually gets the email and contact him directly.
You can tag me right on there and say, what the hell is wrong with this thing? Right on the page. So,
Jeff, thank you again, man. And for those out there fishing this weekend or during the week, please stay safe. I know cold weather is coming. Layer up. Do everything you need to do to make sure you get back home safe to your family. And of course, wear your PFDs. And I feel like I should be saying this from now on. If you're going to be on the water, please don't drink. Stay safe, stay sober. Have a beer when you get at home. Have a great day, everyone.